Joe Rogan just did what nobody in legacy media had the courage to do. He again took a verbal flamethrower to The View, and he did it in front of millions of listeners. But this wasn't just another Rogan rant. This time, it connected with a lawsuit that could shake daytime television, mainstream media, and even American culture to its core. And the silence from The View? Absolutely deafening. Because while Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin loved to preach accountability, they suddenly went radio silent the second they were put under the microscope. And Joe Rogan, he noticed. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, announced a lawsuit against The View, a lawsuit not for a slap on the wrist, not for pocket change, but for a staggering $100 million. The charge? Defamation. Kirk's claim is simple but devastating. The View went on air and falsely smeared Turning Point, suggesting the organization was tied to hate groups and extremists, when in reality, it was hosting an event with over 5,000 young conservatives, students, and volunteers. In one sweeping comment, The View attempted to erase their reputations and brand them as villains. And here's where it gets serious. Lawsuits like this don't just end with dollar amounts. They open doors with legal doors. Discovery. Depositions. Cross-examinations under oath. Suddenly, it's not just about what was said on TV, it's about what producers knew behind the scenes, what memos were written, and whether the smear was deliberate. That's a nightmare scenario for The View. Unlike the scripted, plastic commentary of daytime TV, Rogan operates on instinct. He doesn't read from a teleprompter. He doesn't get notes slipped to him through an earpiece. He talks, unfiltered, like millions of Americans think. And when the subject of The View came up, Rogan let loose. He mocked their smug tone, their groupthink, their habit of attacking easy targets while hiding from real debates. He compared their format to a performance, not journalism. And the audience loved it, because Rogan was saying out loud what most people have been quietly thinking for years: The View is not a talk show. It's a propaganda machine dressed up as coffee table chatter. While Behar and Goldberg laugh at their own jokes, Rogan was cutting deep with humor that had teeth. And unlike The View, Rogan's voice actually resonates with young men, the very demographic Democrats are quietly panicking about losing. And here's where it gets deliciously ironic. For years, The View has styled itself as a voice for women. They brand themselves as fearless, as willing to take on powerful men. But when a lawsuit the size of an asteroid smashes into their orbit, suddenly those fearless women fall silent. Rogan called it out. Where was the outrage now? Where was the endless commentary? Where was the accountability? Instead, what we got was crickets. Because the truth is, The View thrives on punching down. They love to smear, mock, and misrepresent, but the second someone punches back with actual legal weight, the stage lights dim. This is more than hypocrisy. It's exposure. It shows that The View never played by the rules of honest debate. They played by the rules of daytime activism: attack the right, protect the left, and call it journalism. Now, here's the angle almost nobody in mainstream media wants to talk about. Why does Joe Rogan resonate so powerfully, while The View feels so stale? The answer is culture. Rogan represents raw, unfiltered masculinity. He hunts, he fights, he jokes, he questions. He doesn't apologize for being a man in a world where masculinity is constantly labeled toxic. And for millions of young men, that's refreshing. Contrast that with The View, which spends entire segments mocking men, mocking conservatives, mocking masculinity itself. The show thrives on scolding. Rogan thrives on freedom. And young men, millions of them, are noticing. This isn't just about one lawsuit. This is about a generational shift. In 2020, Democrats could count on young people as a voting bloc. But today, that bloc is cracking. And Rogan's rise is proof. Let's step back to the lawsuit for a second, because this part cannot be overstated. If Kirk's $100 million case moves forward, The View could be forced to hand over internal communications. That means emails between producers, Slack messages, off-air strategy sessions, all of it. Imagine the headlines if it's revealed that The View knowingly smeared conservatives for ratings. Imagine depositions where hosts have to explain, under oath, why they repeated false claims. This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous for their credibility, for their network, and for the broader media ecosystem. Rogan, of course, thrives on this kind of spectacle. While The View hides behind lawyers, Rogan exposes the rot with a laugh and a punchline. And that brings us to the big picture. For decades, shows like The View controlled daytime narratives. They told America what to think between coffee breaks and lunch. But those days are dying. Today, Rogan's podcast alone dwarfs their reach. Independent creators, podcasts, YouTubers, together, they've built a media empire that doesn't rely on network permission slips. And audiences are voting with their attention. They'd rather listen to Rogan talk with a comedian, a scientist, or a politician for 3 hours than hear 5 hosts on The View shout each other down for 10 minutes. That's not just a ratings problem. That's a cultural extinction level event for legacy media. So here's the takeaway. Joe Rogan's attack on The View wasn't just entertainment. It was a cultural warning shot. The lawsuit from Charlie Kirk isn't just about money, it's about accountability. And the silence from The View? That's not strength. That's fear. Because the old rules are gone. You can't just smear and move on. You can't label millions of Americans as extremists and expect zero consequences. Not anymore. And if even The View, with all its corporate backing and mainstream clout, isn't safe from legal and cultural blowback, then ask yourself, what media giant is next? Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.